Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in with us today again. We did an episode where we channeled from the Masters and Guides and Beings of Light and Akashic Records. We were channeling what to expect for 2021, like we had November for 2020. November 2019, we did it for 2020, and now we did November 2020 for 2021. But we decided this year we wanted to add different aspects of like what's going to happen or what's coming up. And so one of those we're going to do today's episode, which is numerology. So last year the numerology was 4. And so this year, 2021, or this year we're going to be channeling for 2021. I say channeling because we're going to do it with our Akashic Records open. We're going to say what it means for the year 5, but then we're going to get additional information so the masters can kind of confirm something or add to it and things like that. So it's going to be a little bit of both. It's going to be numerology with like the cool aspect of being able to get additional info from the masters. So we'll be letting you know what comes from the numerology itself and then what is added from the masters. I also wanted to clarify before we started that this is the year for like the planet, right? Like for all of Earth. At the same time, you guys all independently have your own year because you guys were, born in a different time. Not everyone was born the same day, the same year, all that stuff. And so you're going to have your own numerology number for the year. So that's something that you also, if you're really into numerology or if you want to understand exactly how the year is going to be for you, you should take into consideration what we say for this episode. But as well, you should take into consideration your personal numerology year. And this is a really good thing for our numerology students. We have on UDEMY, we have a course that teaches numerology, which a lot of it is basics of numerology. At the same time, we've channeled information from the masters. So we made it like for us at least, a mega class where it's like the master's information plus the numerology information that we both knew as individuals. We put that together. So for the numerology students, this is really cool because you can grab what we say for the upcoming 2021 and then also calculate what the year is going to be for you. And I would say the advice is mesh those two things together and use your intuition because there might be things where like, you know what? I kind of feel like I should discard this. This doesn't really go for me. This meshes well with what they were saying on the podcast, and I think this is going to be my year. So use your intuition as well to mesh those students to mesh up what we say with what your personal year is going to be. That was a long intro, but yeah, Lorena, do you want to add anything to that? No, but
it's good to clarify that.
Yeah.
That's good. We needed to clarify that because I look at it the same way as like astrology. You can get the astrology of the year coming through with the planets aligning, but you need to look at your personal aspects as well to really tailor it to you understanding what's happening and to really get everything you need out of it. This is kind of like that general channeling we did for 2021, I think it was a previous episode or 2 episodes back because I think we had the Kristos episode after. So it's kind of like that. Like, it would be very different if we opened your Akashic Records, but we're opening up the general Akashic Records and getting general information. But from what I see here and what we've channeled and what because Lucia did a lot of this work, it's amazing. And it really, it so resonates with everything that I keep feeling and everything that I have been getting as well. So I'm interested for you guys to also like listen to this and hear this, and I hope it helps somebody in some way as well. Like this is also the reason why we're doing this because we know that this information is going to somehow serve you. So we hope it does.
Yeah.
So Lou, do you want to like start?
Yeah. So I just want to give like a really brief thing about 2020 because I think it's important to understand that. And most of you probably already know it because we've said it so many times, but I'm just going to recap it really quickly. 2020 was for the Masters and the Akashic Records. 2020 was the year, a karmic year. So what they were saying is we were all dealing karmically with like our own things, our family karma, our soul karma, and the universe karma, which is why we saw a lot of things come up about like, you know, repressed feelings, people kind of revamping up feelings and things from the past, and people reacting to things that maybe is not from our generation but from another, things like that, or just feeling like it's still an issue and we want to fight against it. These are all karmic universal things that we all went through. It was super necessary, and the masters always made sure to like clarify that it was really necessary, because for you to be able to start, it's almost like, I would love to explain it the way, like, because a lot of people know Reiki. I love to explain it like, for you to receive healing energy, you need to let go of all that junk or that stuck energy that no longer suits you. So you need to make space. So the Akashic Records always explained that way, that 2020 was the year to release things, to make space for what was coming or what is to come for 2021. That's why it was so important to go home, to stay in, to work on yourself, to do the shadow work, all these things, right? Because you're creating, you're healing, and you're creating space for a better coming for you for 2021. Hopefully that's the path that you took, because, and then we'll get into this later on in the episode, that was the whole point of 2020, was to keep you still so you could move yourself internally so that you can create space for 2021. So, year 5, 2021 is going to be the year 5, universal year 5 for us here. And so it's going to be a year for short, enjoyable trips, is what year 5 is supposedly saying. And we're going to add to that from what the Akashic Records say, which is, yes, it doesn't, just because we're going to be stuck inside, because this whole quarantine lockdown, depending on where you're in the world, it's going to either be vamped up a little bit more, or it's going to backtrack a little bit, or you're going to have a little bit more liberty. But for most of us worldwide, it's going to be a year where we can still enjoy short trips. So I love that year 5 says that, because literally that's what it's going to be for us. We're going to continue to try to find a way to escape in our own like environments, creating short trips. And so, especially in the beginning of the year, we're going to be living that still limiting situation. So do not decide like, I have to be home all the time, because that was year 2020. Now this is the year to start stretching our legs again. And this is how the masters are saying it. Start stretching our legs again and starting to wander around more and walk around more. Now maybe it's more in the proximity of the town next door, or maybe the state next door, or whatever it is that you're able to escape to. No longer limit yourself. Now you have to start pushing the boundaries of where you can go, where you're permitted to go, without getting, of course, yourself in trouble, because we're still fighting up against a paradigm of control. That this is a part of the year 2021 is part of the year as we're fighting against that aspect of control. That is, we're actually going to try to clear it out this year, is what the masters are saying, that they're going to try to clear it out with us this year. And so I hope I explained that enough. But Lorena, I'm sure you want to add a bunch to that.
Yeah. This whole traveling thing to me is something that I've been thinking a lot about and feeling a lot. And even now, like, Lucia's in Uruguay with our mom and dad, and she has Aurora with her, and I have the opportunity to possibly go visit, but there's all this fear and ego coming in and on my end of like the uncertainty of everything, because it's not traveling next door. It's a long haul flight. It's a possibility of me getting stuck somewhere, and there's like a lot of fear. So I think what I would say and what's coming through is really listen to yourself and figure out what it is that you need to do. I think a lot of us feel stuck, and a lot of us do need to move and, like Lucia was saying, stretch our legs. So I would most definitely encourage that, and not do it out of like, don't let fear get in the way and not do it, because we need that. We need to move our energy. We can't continue in 2021 being inside all the time. And there is, I totally feel that, Lucia, that breaking of the paradigm of the control, like, we're going to see some huge, and I want to say, like, I don't know the word for it because it's not coming through, but there's going to be a lot of, I want to use the word revolting. There's going to be a lot of people standing up for their rights. There's going to be a lot of people showing up in a different way than they were even 6 months ago. There's going to be a lot of people just getting tired of what's happening in the world, because we're all waking up and seeing things in a different way. So we're realizing the reality of what's happening, and we can't ignore it anymore. So, there's a lot to look at this year with that. And we're going to all sense that and see that in some way, even if it's not right in your town, maybe if it's not right down the street, but it's going to be worldwide and global. So it's not to scare you or anything. It's what needs to happen. It's the chaos before the new order. And it's not things going back to normal. And I want to say that there is no normal. There will be no normal. Things will not go back to how they were. They're not supposed to go back to how they were. We need to create a new reality, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that if anybody who follows my Instagram, I've been very consistent with being annoying. Look, don't believe the media. But that's, I mean, I could literally sit back and not post any of that and not do anything about it. And a lot of people would get unangry with me and would be much happier with me shutting my mouth. But that's actually, I'm doing it from a place of love because, and we'll get into this later on the episode, it's the Akashic Records left it really, really clear. If you're going to be one of the individuals who stay under the souled version of our reality, I want to call it the souled version. The souled version of reality, you're going to, it's highly probably going to be on the path of deteriorating life, in the sense that things are going to get worse for you for 2021. So 2020 got worse, right? And then 2021 would get even worse. So that's the reason why I'm pushing that information out so much, because I want to hope, I hope that I can help at least wake up a certain amount of people so that they can have, for what's coming 2021, they can be on that other path, which is the one of those that live a new, better reality, where we're like, you wake up and you're like, you know what? The matrix no longer controls me. Whoever's trying to control the perception of me and my life and my what kind of life I should live, and where I actually am and what the information really is, I'm no longer a part of that. I've discarded that. That's not my reality, and I know what really is reality. And that means going in, and that's what the karmic work was also about, because there was no way we could connect with our higher self and our true reality and our true matrix if it wasn't for us going in and cleansing all that junk out. And so everything kind of like aligns up, and everything has a reason. And so that's why I'm pushing that information out so much, because I really hope that there's going to be more of us living a better reality than a worse reality. And so I just wanted to clear that up. But so. Yeah. Then we have also as well a year for love. Okay. And I know that when we say that, if you look up year 5, and especially our numerology students will know that this goes under year 5, it says a year for love, or it could be like short flings and things like that. In this case, the Akashic Records are telling us, Lorena and I, that for us, this year, 2021 year, is going to be a year of love, but falling back in love with yourself. So this is a year to fall back in love with yourself and who you really are. So what happens is the work that was done in the 4th year, aka 2020, if you did that shadow work, if you dug deep, if you cleansed out all that junk well enough, what's going to happen now is you're finally confronted with who you really are, with your true self. You've also accepted aspects of yourself that maybe before it was harder for you to accept, like, you know what, that's the way I am, and that's my shortcoming, and that's okay. Maybe I pushed that shortcoming and made it less vulnerable, or made it better for myself and those that are around me. But whatever is that internal work that you needed to do, now, year 2021 is for you to go, okay, I did that work. Now I'm going to love myself, who I am, what I am, and you know, what I really am, which is like that higher self. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, right? I don't know if you want to continue with the rest of this.
Yeah, I definitely feel, and I resonate with that so much, because we can only get to that place in 2021 having done all that work in 2020. So that's where it all lines up. That's where it all comes together. That's where we understand how you can't just jump like from one spot to the next. Like, you need to do the work in between. And sometimes it could be rough. Sometimes it could be less rough. Sometimes you can feel it really resonating with you to do the work. It really, to me, feels like 2021 is about self, because the more we can love ourselves, and the more we can vibrate higher, the more we're going to bring light, and the more we're going to be kind of that collective that needs to bring more light and shed more light into the world. Because that's how it starts. It starts with the self, with the higher self. And that's going to be a huge part of 2021. We all need to really focus on that, I think.
Yeah. I loved how the Akashic Records explained it was like a rebirth of your true self. It's like you realigning with yourself after all that work that hopefully all of you did in 2020, which is what Lorraine and I were so annoying about. Go in the beginning of 2020. Go in, do your work. Go inside your home, but you have to go inside your own home, which is your body, yourself, right?
I think we said homing, right? We were talking about
homing. Yes, that's right. Homing. Yeah. I forgot about that. Okay, so this is funny. A year for vacation is what year 5 would be, and I know that sounds really like, what? A year for vacation sounds funny, but this is a year for us to kind of, it's like vacation from, for example, that 9 to 5 that you had, right? You're taking yourself away from that limiting way of being, of living. And again, we're talking general because we're talking about the whole planet. So maybe some of you don't go in, and maybe some of you are still working and things like that. But year 4 permitted us to break down, and most of us were home going, wait, what have I been doing with my life? Like, you went through that moment of questioning. Oh, yeah. And then year 5 is, well, now I've had year 4 to think about it, to see. First of all, I was pulled away from that reality or that way of living because I was stuck at home. I looked at it. I questioned myself. I went in, and now year 5's coming in, and now I'm like, no, either I'm going away from that or I'm taking a vacation from that, right? So this is a more vacation from that lifestyle that you might have had. Not so much I'm going to go, to the beach for 3 weeks or something. It's a different kind of vacation. It's a vacation from a lifestyle that you might have had that no longer suited you, or a way of living. Maybe you kept yourself super busy. Maybe you had too many things going on. Maybe you always had your agenda where, like, your calendar was like, this day this, and this day I'm going to meet up with that friend, and this day I have this wedding, and then I have this birthday. And yeah, you were complying with everybody else's needs of you. Were you complying with the needs of yourself? Right? And now you have the perfect excuse to take a vacation from that busy life and go, now I'm actually just going to be and enjoy life. That's what year 5 should really actually begin to be for most of us, if not all.
Yeah, 2020 gave us a perspective that we needed to start seeing things in a different light. So that, for many of us, meant making really hard decisions, being really upfront with ourselves and being honest with ourselves. But I do see for 2021 certain opportunities coming forward for a lot of people. The thing is, we need to be awake and connected to ourselves to receive those messages, because a lot of times we'll feel that we're being pushed in a direction that we don't quite understand, but we have to trust it. And I see opportunities. Like, I think 2021 is going to be a year of opportunities, a year of things coming forward and us not going down that quote unquote expected path, or the path that we thought we were supposed to go down. It's a path of more following your intuition and following your heart. So that goes back to the year of love. That year of love, of falling in love, not only with yourself, but the life that you're living. And some of you might be thinking, oh my God, but it's so hard. We're all in lockdown. It's still really crazy. How is that ever going to happen? It can. And if you guys really connect with people around you and you start connecting with people that are vibrating higher, you're going to realize a lot of these people, their lives have changed. And most people that are resonating in a high vibration, 2020 was a great year. 2020 was an amazing year for a lot of people. And it wasn't this negativity around it. It's like, obviously it sucks. A lot of people died from COVID. A lot of people died from other diseases and other things that we think were COVID but weren't. And there's also a lot of violence going on and a lot of people standing up for rights, which is amazing. But it's been a great year in that sense. Like, it's woken us up. It's given us a perspective we need to start making the decisions and taking action on our life. And that's going to be a big thing in 2021. Things need to start now, and we're going to get into that. But in 2021, you need to take action. It's a year of action.
Yeah. And so also a wonderful year to place yourself in nature and breathe in the freedom. And this may sound like super untrue or really, really ironic, but the Akashic Records, they're saying that we were being controlled even more before COVID than we are being now. We just couldn't see it. We weren't seeing it. We weren't able to see it. And that's also why they wanted us to go in to be like, whoa, what have I been doing this whole time? Like, I've been just working. What? I've been working to pay off my student loan, or I've been working to pay off this mortgage of this house, or I've been, working because I have to work, or I have to sustain this lifestyle. So that's a form of control that the Matrix was holding me under, right? And so a lot of us actually can somehow have a form of freedom in a different way. So it does sound a little ironic, but it actually is true, at least to the Akashic Records, that we're being more controlled then than we are now. Keeping us distracted with our busy lives was a form of control as well. And the Akashic Records call that a form of enslavement, which is that's really grave. That's really bad that we're being enslaved by this really, really distracting, busy, occupied life. And that didn't suit us. Do you think your soul, and I always think about that, did my soul sign up to come and go to this birthday party and that birthday party and this wedding and that reunion and then the family and then work and then I highly doubt my soul signed up for that. That's just a consequence of the matrix that we're living in. So I really would like people to think about that, because we usually don't think about that. To everybody, it's no, I have to do that. No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So 2020 allowed us to come back home and be more aligned with our close family, or if you had a roommate or whoever you kind of shared your space with, right? It allowed us to go back into that place and rebond with those individuals, or that one person, if it's just one person. And at the same time, we need to be pulled back into or towards nature. Not so much city living is kind of should be the old way of putting ourselves under a control, right? Now we need to liberate ourselves via nature. And so there's going to be a sense of freedom with that new connection with nature. And so a lot of people felt this in different ways, but the most common way is people were like, I kind of feel like I want to move.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue in 2021, I feel.
Yeah, because we're
so many
reconnecting
people
with that
said
nature.
they moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll find I do feel like people will feel pulled to leave cities and go more, even to the suburbs. It doesn't have to be the forest or the middle of nowhere, but it could be more the suburbs, more, more simple living would be the best way.
Yeah. And also some people might want to take advantage, or have already taken advantage of, the fact that they're remotely working now, and that they're like, oh, you know what? I can get out of this apartment, for example. Let me go rent a place over there, or let me go stay with a family member that has a house over here. Or, a good example is I came here, like you said, I came here to Uruguay because there's going to be some sort of semi-lockdown in Holland. It was going to be cold. Christmas and New Year's wasn't going to be so great. And I said, I work remotely. Right? I do Akashic Records readings and I record with you, and everything I do is remotely. So let me just go over to Uruguay, where it's going to be summer. I'm going to be outside in nature. Even though there's some sort of limitation, it's less limited than where I was. So a lot of us are going to feel that we're going to try to find a way to bond back with nature and take advantage either of the opportunity to move, or try to move, or take the opportunity of remotely working, things like that. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to feel called to start finding a way to live off grid or be more self-sustainable. So now what do I depend on? I depend on more earth than I do on the government, or I do on my job, or things like that. Starting to see or create a setup in some sort of way where they can live and depend more on themselves and less on the other universal things, right?
Yeah. And I think this whole self-sustaining thing is also what I've been channeling for a while now. I put that into the Patreon, and I've talked about it a lot. The self-empowering. This coming year to me is a lot about self-empowering and empowering others as well through the way we live and how we help others. So I think this whole idea of not necessarily going off grid, because that's not going to resonate with everybody, but choosing where you want to live regardless of what kind of job you do and what you do, because you're going to have that freedom, and being able to live off of growing your own vegetables and, growing your own fruits, and kind of living the life that you want to live and not the one that you've been told that you need to live. I think that's something that we've all been going back and forth in our heads about, and connecting more with nature, but also our loved ones and our families, and just being more aware of what's going on inside of ourselves and our higher self and vibrating with that. That's why I like and I resonate, and also the Akashic Records are coming through in that sense, like that placing yourself in nature and in a place where you can breathe and you feel free and you feel less congested and less controlled is only going to help you vibrate higher and connect to yourself and continue with that year of love and loving yourself and all that. So
yeah.
Okay.
And also a year for change and opportunities. And we can't say it enough. Like last year, 2020 was a cleansing work, was digging in deep. And so this year, what that should have brought into your reality, into your life, into your awareness is you're going to be more emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually ready to take on a new life plan, a new way of living, a new way of being, a new perspective, a new reality, all those things. All that work led it's like a success route, right? It's like you changed highways. You went in and now, oh, you know what? I'm going to take this exit and I'm going to take this new highway. And the only way you can do it is because you're mentally prepared to make that decision. And so that work needed to be done for you to be able to say, I'm going to do that now. I'm ready to do that. Or, you know what? I really want it and I feel like I deserve it. And so this is a year of beginnings. And it's funny because most of the readings I did in year 2020, I found myself repetitively saying, because the masters always said, begin the process of deciding which project or what, like, for example, if it's a job or if it's a career or if it's a new way, new place to live, like, begin the project of looking into it because they want everybody to start it in 2021. Yeah.
Oh, me too, with a lot of readings.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I think I would say like
It
85% I found myself saying that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're pushing people, like the masters and guides, everybody's masters and guides are pushing them to do something different, to follow their intuition and their heart, because people have been, a lot of us have been, I included, just going with what was happening, and that can really drag you down. That drags down your energy. That drags down that you're not following your purpose. Yeah. How can you align and raise your vibration if you're constantly living most of your days that way, right? Like, it just doesn't work. You can't move forward that way.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so what you're doing then is discarding previous perspective, previous plans. Like maybe you had a life plan and you said, you know what, actually, no, I'm not going to marry this person. I'm not going to move in with that person. I'm not going to stay in this city. I'm not going to stay at this job, or whatever it is that you might have changed perspectives on. So you're going to now start focusing on that new plan. Start it. This is the year to begin it. So if you've made that decision in 2020, now in 2021, when it starts, because we're not in now, but like when it starts, for me, it already started, but when it starts,
yeah,
I'm like already there energetically, but like when it starts, begin that project. Don't go, oh, let me wait till next month. Let me wait a few months. Do not wait any longer for that perfect moment to do it, because maybe that perfect moment never comes. And also 2021 is the perfect moment to do it. If you have any life changes that you'd like to come into your reality, if you don't do in 2021, in 2022 is going to be almost impossible, or a much, 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 much harder. So, and I'm not saying don't do any changes in 2022, but like if it's a life change like the ones that are created via the internal work of 2020, then it's going to have to be done, and it should be done in 2021. So new projects, new careers, new homes, new cities, whatever it is that's new, whatever is, your new life plan involves, start bringing that into reality in 2021.
Yeah, the only advice that's coming through for that would be the only way we can find that out is by going inward. That's the only way. The only way we can do that is by sitting, by listening to our intuition, listening to what we're feeling, and figuring out what that is. Because otherwise we're going to be working from the ego. We're not working from a place of genuine connection and really understanding where we need to go. Because what they're saying is we're all going to feel that pull. We're going to get either internal inklings or messages or feelings that something feels off or something doesn't feel right. And you need to follow that. Like, you need to trust that. You can't like be like, oh yeah, I'm just feeling a little bit off today. But if it keeps happening, you keep feeling that, it keeps coming back, you can't ignore it. Like, there's something. And I think a lot of our masters and guides are helping us through that this year. They helped us part of this year, and they're going to be helping through all 2021 to take that action, to really listen to ourselves. But we need to do that little work of going inward and like making it click. Like, oh, right. Yeah, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't resonate anymore. I can't follow that path anymore.
Yeah. And so then also 2021 is the year to take advantage of all opportunities given to you. So if you don't take advantage of the opportunities that present itself to you, they're going to be lost in this year. You're not going to get the opportunity to get that thing back again. So this is a year to create your new reality, to take up those opportunities, to push them forward. And also, so this is something we're going to take a few moments to explain this a little bit. And this is what I was talking about in the beginning. This is when the year, I call it this because Akasha explained it this way, the year of the divide. I'm not talking about a negative divide where like, oh, there's going to be people fighting over here. No. The divide is those that did the internal work of 2020, those that continue on that path of awakenedness, of seeing the reality of all that things I was talking about in the beginning where I've been pushing all that information on my Instagram, like, You've begun to see that. You've begun to see that you've been fed a perspective. You've been fed a truth, and you know what? We all bought it. I at the same time bought it for a really long time, but I've seen the reality, and I'm glad I did because I know that now I'm going to be on one of those two divided paths, and I'm going to be on the good one because I'm waking up. I'm seeing the truth, and I'm no longer allowing my perspective to be controlled like it used to be, and so that goes hand in hand with internal work that we all did in 2020 and the shadow work, releasing what no longer suits us, changing and beginning the new projects. All of this comes into play in 2021, and you're going to be divided into two different realities. Either the reality of the person that their life progresses and gets better, or you're going to be on the second path, which is those that had a pretty bad time in 2020, and it's just going to continue to go down to 2021. So it's going to get worse for you.
I also see it not necessarily getting worse, but just feeling completely stuck.
Yeah.
That to me also resonates. It's not, oh my gosh, my life's shitty right now, it's going to get even crappier. No, it could just feel stuck as heck. That also, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you're on the first path, which is the one where like you're starting to see that we've been enslaved by a system that no longer suits us, that we've been fed a reality that's not true. You've gone in and you've done your internal work. You're deciding to create your own perfect example of reality for yourself. We are creators. We can create these things on our own. As long as we wake up, we can create whatever we want. That's the catchy part of manifesting. Like you gotta be out of the controlled perspective of the matrix so that you can become that amazing creator that you really are, right? It's tricky. Like it's not easy for anybody, right? And so that's the team. I want to call it team advancement. That's the team you want to be on. You want to be a team advancement. And so if someone's next to you and it's not awake, hopefully start showing them things to help them, because the more of us that wake up, our energy is going to be stronger, and you're helping yourself at the same time. It's not just helping someone else that you love. But also remember that not everyone's going to be able to see it. Not everyone's going to be ready to wake up. And it also might mean that if you're in team 1, right? If you're in the team advancement, it might mean that whoever's on team 2 and cannot accept your reality, you might find that they'll pull away. You might find that they cannot interact with you as well anymore, or they don't want to interact with you as well, and you gotta, that's fine, and that's okay, and that's part of, that's just part of the system and how it's going to continue to be. And so know that whoever retrieves from your reality, it means that you're giving it also a space, just like the energy, you're giving a space for someone else to come in and take that place that's going to feed you what you do need and what does resonate with your new reality, your new perspective and way of being and seeing.
Yeah, and that energetic kind of attraction, like even the manifestation you were talking about, to me feels like we were saying, things will get easier. Like you'll be able to manifest things. You're going to get these opportunities come up. And I really resonate with that. Take advantage of all these opportunities, because 2021 feels like to me a year of opportunities. If we've done all the work that we need to, we're going to be presented with the opportunities we need to grow and to live that life that we need to. For some, it'll be super easy. For some, it'll be a little bit of work that they need to put into it. But to me, it feels like it'll be very much like, oh, wow, I've just been given this job offer. Or, oh, wow, I've just started working for myself. Or, wow, like we just got this house that was like perfect. We put in an offer and we got it the next day. Like things like that, like what I call manifestation, right? But at the same time, you know, a lot of us are going to feel stuck. I do feel that. I don't feel like a lot of us are awake. I don't think necessarily people that are listening to the podcast, but, you know, people around us, I'm saying, you know, where to me, and I'm going to go back to something you were saying, it's not about spoon feeding things to people or forcing ideas on people either, right? It's you speaking your mind, you coming forward however you need to do. Like Lucia and I are very different. I speak about things in a different way. Lucia has a different purpose than I do, and she needs to resonate and she needs to connect with that in whatever way she has to. So that's her purpose. So however that feels like to you, you need to be true to that and come forward and be that way. So use your personality to wake people up, to bring light, to make things aware. And for me, what's coming through a lot is that health is coming through a lot for me. And we'll be given this opportunity to really live in the most aligned health in 2021. And I know this isn't within the numerology, but it's coming through the Akashic Records, and I really feel it. Because when we were talking about being kind of like being told all these things and living under these rules, and, you know, even health is a huge thing that we've all woken up to in 2020. Like, why aren't we not being told to stop eating McDonald's, to stop eating all these foods that are bad for us? Why is the government not helping with that? Why is it all being pulled to this external thing? And that's where you have to realize that all this that's happening right now is all an illusion. It's not a reality. The reality is we all need to be focusing on our health and our immune system and cutting out all this processed food that we're eating and eating in a healthier way and exercising and being out in nature and grounding. That's what's going to give us a health. That's what's going to make everything go away. That's how people aren't going to get sick. It's not by all of us being aligned with your true self. That's huge.
I have a really good example of that. I can give a personal example of that. Because you're talking about how like we both share things differently. Yeah, I'm a little bit more
vocal.
I'm more vocal, but also like I'm more. I don't try to say things in a pretty way. I'm just gonna say it the way like I see it. Right. And so that's the way I am, and I know that you're very different, but also our paths are very different. And I've always had health issues. My entire life I've had health issues. It started going a little bit away when I started channeling the Akashic Records, which we know because it's part of what I was here to do. But as well, I still had the challenge of getting sick more often than I would have liked to have. And that's when I went to Courtney to get a hypnosis session. And during the hypnosis session, my soul communicated to me that I was still holding back information. And at the time, like, I didn't know how much... Like, I wasn't aware of it. It was normal to me. Like, I'm not going to share everything. Not everybody's ready to hear everything. Kind of, that was my mind, right? Like, I know I had my perspectives on things, but I was like, I don't know how, if I should really communicate these things. And I was holding back. And that, of course, went to my throat because you're not speaking the truth. You're not saying things, right? And so there was a moment where my soul said, well, as soon as she starts saying the things that she knows that she feels like she needs to say, because you're here to say those things, you're here to throw those things out into the universe. As soon as you do that, I'm saying it in a more human way than she said it, of course, because I don't remember her actual words. But it was like, then you don't have to get sick anymore. Then you can realign with your body. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to do it. Like, why am I going to put my health second than being scared to other people be upset about what I might say? I said, that's it. I'm done. And so that's as soon as that happened. And anybody who knows me knows that, like, once I decide something, that's it. I'm going to do it. And so I decided to do it because of that. And I literally have not gotten sick since then. And I've traveled on the airplane to get here to Uruguay, and
Normally you'd be sick for sure.
I would have been sick just from traveling. Guess what? I sneaked taking off my masks the whole time, and this was like 17 hours of traveling. Like, I did not wash my hands with like the sanitizer every 2 seconds. I didn't do any of that. I lived a normal, complete life while everybody else around me was paranoid about their germs. And I'm fine. I'm totally fine. And so I know that's like, we're talking about something that's very, what's it called?
Controversial?
Controversial, yeah. I know we're talking about something that's very controversial. Some people really believe that you're supposed to take care because of other people and things like that. I think that we're actually making all of ourselves more sick just by accepting.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Accepting that, right. And
accepting this reality is making us sicker.
Yeah.
For sure.
Much more, yeah. Our immune systems are also not going to get used to fighting things because we're covering ourselves up. So we're setting ourselves up for
living in fear.
Yeah.
A lot of people are living in so much fear that creates stress, and that's making them sick.
Yeah. And so the moral of the story for me in this case, for this story, is I aligned with my true self and what my soul really needs and what she's here to do. I aligned with that, and I haven't gotten sick, and I've been feeling pretty great, and my reality's actually gotten better. Like, I'm no longer stuck. You know, I came to visit my family. I haven't been in for a while. Like, a lot of my life in general has been improving from the moment that I decided to truly align with what I'm here to do. And so I hope that everyone else does the same thing. That's why I'm telling the story. Like, I hope everyone else does the same thing. Do not be afraid of a family member not liking what you're saying. Do not be afraid of your partner not approving with a new life plan that you might have. Like, make sure to be true to yourself first, because you're here for yourself. You're here for your soul. You're not here for everyone else first. So that's my overall message.
You have to listen to your own purpose and connect with that. And it's never going to be the same as anybody near you or next to you. So, you can't look to your side and be like, oh, this person's doing this, so I need to do that. Like, no. And it's not about necessarily being a rebel or going against everybody, or like, it's not about that. It's just living your truth. That's it. That's all you need to do. Live your truth and be as respectful and as aligned with it as you can. And you're going to feel way better. I can guarantee that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so then this year can bring, I guess, a more intense feeling of one of the two things, which is either you may feel spontaneous and adventurous, because the soul is spontaneous and adventurous. I mean, the soul just decided to go into a third dimensional body to have this experience. We are only beings of being spontaneous and adventurous. Of course, the soul plans for things, but the soul wants to live a life of like pureness and alignment, and so you might feel all these feelings of spontaneous and adventurous because it comes with being fully aligned with your true self. Or you might feel a more duplicated version of stress and anxiety. So then what my advice would be, what the Akashic Records are showing me, is if you're picking up on the second one, which is feeling stress and anxiety, it's highly probable that you're aligned with not the route of someone that's waking up and reconnecting with themselves. You're probably realigning with the other second reality, which you don't want. And so once you catch that, go, okay, wait, what is it that I'm not listening to myself? What is it that I'm putting myself through? What is it that I'm not really seeing that's putting me in a sense of stress and anxiety? And how can I start changing that? Or how can I go in to begin to change that so that I can then go to the path of advancement, to the reality of advancement with all those other beings that are in the same place, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates as well. A lot of this stuff in some way or another came through in our 2021 channeled Akashic Messages as well. And I've listened to a few other people, because I want to mention this as well. Like, I've listened to V's podcast.
So much of what V
Dimension.
we got, like, we said it differently, right? I loved that when I heard hers.
Yeah. I'm going to link her episode to this episode. I'll put that in the show notes, because I think, she goes deeper into a lot of things as well. She goes into, for example, social media, and she also talks about media. She talks about politics. She talks about a bunch of things, but from a psychic kind of way, right? She gets psychic messages. So it's interesting to see it also in that perspective. It'll give you guys kind of more insight on everything.
Yeah.
But I want to say, I don't know if we're going to wrap up now, I suppose, but I definitely want to say that, this is just a layer of things that we see coming, and we're going to do some deeper channeling further out. Lucy and I have been getting messages for many years forward, and we want to channel those. We're going to channel those on the Patreon. So if you guys feel called to receive more channel messages specifically for Patreon members, feel free to go on there and join us. We'd love you to join. So we'll put that link also on the show notes.
Yeah, I want to do
and like Lucy
channeling for like all the way up to 2025 because there's like a big step forward from now to then, right?
Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of kind of messages to channel that. And, like Lucy said, she needs to also be talking and channeling and saying things and getting stuff out because that's for her own purpose and her own health, right? So, and for me, it's good too, because I feel like it helps me connect with myself and trust the messages more and more as the months and years go by. So, I want to just re-mention the UDEMY course because we do have a numerology course on UDEMY. So we'll link that below as well. And if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about that, basically we give all of the information. There's going to be 2 levels. So we've come forward with level 1. So that's like the first part of numerology. And then we'll be coming in 2021 with part 2. So it'll be the first part of numerology where you can learn to get your life path numbers and the year numbers and all of that. So it's really interesting. And it can give you another kind of element to any reading you're doing or understanding people better. You can do their numerology. So that, I think it's a cool add-on to whatever you're doing if you're in the spiritual path or just to understand yourself and what's going on a little bit more. So yeah. I don't know if you want to add anything else, Lou?
No. I'm really happy with everything that we channeled on the side of the year. So just a reminder to people, what we did there was the information of the year with the Akashic Records that helped us receive extra information. So that's our intuitive way of evolving numerology. And we invite you, if you do a numerology course, we invite you to also don't just write down exactly like what you're getting. Like you begin to progress your own intuition to adapt it to what you're receiving, because it's almost like an open door to channeling more information. That's how I think it is for like, tarot and astrology and numerology. Like all these things are really good tools to get information, but then I think that we're all beings that we can receive information. So I think that we should use all those tools to get all that additional psychic or, higher self information.
Yeah, I completely agree. Don't just take one thing. Use everything that you have. Use your whole toolbox, right? That's what if they're just sitting in there and you're not using it, then what's the point? And especially now, energetically speaking, we need to be using all these tools that we've learned and that we kind of have to put them to use. It's going to help everybody. So yeah, definitely. So make sure you're following us on Instagram and Facebook. We post there and kind of let you guys know what's happening, a little bit about our Patreon, a little bit about episodes that come up. And as well, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, make sure you do on whatever platform that you follow us on. And we'll be back next week, I believe. Yeah, I just want to mention here as well, like we're going to take a little bit of a break during the Christmas and New Year's. I think it's going to be like a 2-week break or something like that. We'll let you guys know. We'll announce that on social media. But we haven't taken a break ever from this podcast.
How long have we been doing it? A year and a half now or something?
August, September, October, November. A year and like 3. It'll be like a year and it'll be a year and a half soon. And we have not taken a break. So we're just going to make sure we take a break once. We've also...
we're following our own advice.
Yeah, we're aligning with what feels right. It'll be like 2 or 3 weeks. It's not going to be long. And we'll obviously keep recording and doing stuff, but it kind of takes the pressure off of having to come... like edit and all that stuff, which takes time, it takes a lot of work. We will continue on our Patreon though, so make sure that you're following us there. And as well, we've stopped our Spanish podcast for the time being. So if any of you follow us on there, just so you know, we've stopped that. And yeah, we'll be back next week with a new episode here on the Soul Tribe podcast. And we're sending you all lots of love and light, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.